These dots are joining guides, and they're established using an Easy Complete quilt template. And in this project, they are very important for a couple of reasons. Number one, my sash is significantly narrower on the square than the piece I'm going to join it to, which is an octagon. This is 5/8 and this is 1 inch. The centering guides line up with other centering guides I've established on the octagon. I'm going to pin them real quick so you can see what that's like, to enable me to sew this seam and have a great looking outcome. Here you can see that I've matched up these centering guides of the square with the centering guides of the octagon. Remember, these outside centering guides are guides used to establish where the square should be joined to the octagon. Now, once I've done that, I'll be able to join these pieces and have their sashes stay the consistent depth they're supposed to. Usually, I just want to make a note, I usually pin and sew along this line. This way I can make sure that my stitching lines match up on both sides. So I can check it with pins and kind of fiddle around with them if I don't think it's good enough. Let's get to work putting centering guide dots on all these pieces. Normally, I'd be putting the centering guide dots on the white side, but because someone brought it to my attention that the contrast wasn't good enough by doing that, I'm going to flip this to the wrong side just to demonstrate how this centering guide works. Before joining Easy Complete quilt backs to one another, it's really useful to have these centering dots installed. So I'm going to do that by describing 3 areas of the quilt back. This is going to be called the top. This is going to be called the beveled edge. It's a raw edge. It's unfinished. The top has a fold in it. And this is going to be the side. The side also has a fold. What I do is I position the area above the dots along the raw edges of the beveled edge. Then I look at the folded area that I'm defining as the side for this video, and I look at the numbered lines. The folded area is visible, and I can see that it falls between numbers 3 and 4 on the centering template. I go to the lines on the mirror image that are sitting on the top folded edge, and I see that they're a little closer to 4. So I just kind of move around the template until the area between the lines on this side of the template looks identical to the area between the lines on this side of the template. Then I make sure that my raw edges are touching the top of the template, and I draw the dots in place. I just want to go over one more thing. It's very common to have the side fold and the top fold read at a different number on each corner of the Easy Complete quilt. So make sure you look at the numbers. Don't just assume that because the last fold was about at 3.5 that this fold will be. This fold comes a little closer to 4, and that's okay. Every beveled edge, every set of dots might have a slightly different reading on the lines and number area of the Easy Complete quilt template. Those variations are minor and don't impact the appearance of the finished product. So don't be concerned about it. Just make sure that you're getting the center by reading how the fold on the side looks in relationship to these lines, and then making sure it's as identical as possible on the top, and then put your dots in and your lines. After all your joining guides are installed, join the top dots with a line and a straight edge to indicate where the stitching line will fall when joining this piece to other squares and the octagon. If you're going to use machine embroidery as a pad stitching method, which is like my favorite way to do things, it's a great time now to also put your cross marks on just the lined quilt back. This will help guide me when I go to embroider my top piece. If you're going to embroider pad stitch this, be sure and look at the video on embroidery and pad stitching. It has some really useful tips.